Hello YouTube. It's been roughly a year since I put a video out, but I have not forgotten about riding razors, working on razors, putting accessories on razors, or any of that good stuff. Over the last year or so, I've bought a house, started a new job, lots of just life things have gotten in the way. So this is the new shop that I've got. Kind of looks like a bomb went off right now because I've been remodeling the inside of the house. But you can see I've upgraded from the driveway. Got a lift to work on the razor now, and today we're going to work on building a skid plate. So you can say, okay, why do you have a skid plate right there? Well, this is my buddy's skid plate off of his machine. It's a UHMW 3/8 inch mod quad skid plate, and he's actually got it off right now to do some transmission work. So while it's off, I went ahead and grabbed it and bought a 4x8 sheet of 1/2 inch HDPE plastic that I plan to make a skid plate out of. So I figured I'd make a video for YouTube just in case anybody really wants to know how to do this. Basically what I'm going to do is just trace this pattern out, use some Forstner bits to make the holes, and then just do the little tweaks here and there to get it on the machine. So without further ado, just follow along. Okay, so I've got the pattern traced out. I just used the Sharpie, laid his skid plate on there, and traced out the edges as well as the circles. This big one and this big one are what allows the water to drain out of the floorboard. And I don't think I'm going to build in these. It's where the trailing arm mounts to the frame and it drops down a little bit. I'm not going to actually build that into the skid plate, so I'm going to just build its own section and cut it off right here because it looks like his have gotten pretty beat up, and I want to be able to replace it without it being attached to this. So that's just something I'm going to do a little bit different. You can do it however you want if you choose to do this. I'm just explaining how I'm doing it. So next thing, I'll just grab the jigsaw and I'm going to run along the outside of the pattern before I start doing the holes. I don't really have a good stand to video the whole thing while I'm cutting this, but it's not too exciting. I'm just using a jigsaw to go through it with a regular wood blade. But I wanted to stop just a little bit of the way through, just to show you what I'm doing. This piece right here is what is going to end up being that, but like I said, I didn't want to make it all one big thing. So I'm going to continue down this line, turn up the way there, and I'll cut the rest out. And then the main body section will be ready to have the holes put into it. I just finished the main body of the plate. Probably took 10 or so minutes to cut it out. Make sure you wear safety glasses for this because this plastic gets everywhere if you end up using this. So the next thing that I believe I'm going to do is work on these holes where it'll actually mount to the machine, and then these floor drains as well. What I'm going to use for that are hole saw blades, and then also Forstner bits where I can. If you don't know what a Forstner bit is, they're these right here. Okay, I think I'm just about finished with the body now. I've got all the holes that I want in it. I went ahead and did 4 on either side, 2 on the diagonals there where the tube of the frame goes in front of the floorboards, 4 more over here, and then 2 wide set, 2 middle, and then my floor drains. I did use a 3-inch hole saw on the floor drains, and it's probably a little bit overkill. If I had to do it again, I'd use a 2.5-inch hole saw blade, but I just don't have one. So I went ahead and used a 3. So the next thing I think I'm going to do is grab the router and bevel all the edges, just clean it up a little bit, and then we'll probably move on to the back piece. Okay, I just beveled the edges on here. Like I said, I used a router. I just freehanded everything. It's just a bevel bit, so you can see what I used. The lateral edges, I mean, they look fine, and they're not going to bother me at all. But you can see some of these spots in here are not going to be perfect just because I cut it with a jigsaw. If I, was a human CNC machine, this would all be perfectly straight. But for my purposes, I'm not selling this to anybody, and it's meant to take a beating. It's going to be just fine. I'm really happy with the way that the holes turned out. I got a really nice smooth finish on those, so that should help kind of with the countersink process and how I'm going to secure everything. So next stop is the back piece, and I will continue documenting my progress as I go. More progress here on the skid plate. I've made the front piece. I went ahead and just cut it out the exact same way, drilled the holes, Used a router to go around the edges. And again, I'm doing this all freehand, so it's not perfectly neat, but it's not too bad. And then I also put a bend in it to do that. I'll show you what I'm basing it off of. So this is my buddy's here, and then this piece that I made. So what I did to put the bend in, it was relatively simple. Just came over here to the vise, put the piece in the vise, clamped it down, and used my heat gun. Just applied heat here. Took probably 2 or 3 minutes worth of heat, and literally just pulled it by hand, and that's what did it. And did everything by eye. When you do bend it, you want to pull it farther than what it needs to be, and then it'll naturally kind of take itself back into position. And you really don't want to pull it too far. It's not going to hurt anything if you do, but it's always easier to bend it more than to have to bend it back and forth doing that. So I'm finished with the manufacturing part of the whole skid plate. So I probably got 2.5 or 3 hours in actually making it. I did it across a couple different days. Well, it's actually weekends, but just 2 or 3 hours, 2.5, 3 hours total working time. So yeah, I mean, really it was just trace, cut, route out, and clean up the edges, and it really wasn't too bad. So here's the whole thing. I'm gonna take a minute here to get the razor down and situated. I'm gonna start mounting it. I'm actually waiting on some washers and additional screws to go into the bottom of it, but I'm going to use the stock hardware for now just to get it on there. Now this part of the video, I'm going to kind of do the informational stuff that everybody probably really wants to know, because if you're interested in making one of these, you probably want dimensions and where the hole should be and all that information. So what I've done is I've laid my stock rear plate underneath this. I'm going to show you how some of the holes line up, and then I'll give you overall dimensions, but I'm not going to sit here and measure out each hole for you, because I'll let you figure that out. So 1, 2, and 3 match up to stock. 1, 2, and 3. So 2, 2, and 2. And then this little corner piece matches up. And then back here, I believe that's your diff plug, or it's back in here, this big one or the other. But anyway, none of this is covered by the stock one. So there's your holes there, and I'll match up the main body plate in just a second, and I'll show you that. Alright, so I digress on the main body plate. It's kind of hard to line up, just because this one's bent so many different ways, and there's actually a lot of different, not really location per se, but additional holes on this one that I made. But here's an idea how much difference you're going to get in coverage. So I'll do tape measurements here next. So this is the back piece. The overall length of it is about 36.5 inches. The width of this rear part, where it narrows down, is about 9.5, 9 3/4, depending on how you want to make it. And then the wide part of the body, it's kind of hard to do this one-handed, is basically 22.5. Yep, 22.5. So where this thing tapers from basically this corner to the bottom is 13.5 inches. Now this whole thing, longest point, so front to back, is 46 inches. Overall width is about 47.25. Each of these little side pieces are 6.25. Just a shade over 6.25. And then where this tapers, so basically here, this line to the top, is about 9.5, 10 inches, where that comes down. Part of this nut on the sides is 29.5 inches. And then these gaps right here, so from up there to the back of this 23 3/4, looks like. Maybe 24. So I'm not gonna go through and give exact dimensions since this is essentially a Mod Quad duplicate, but that'll get you close. 18 and a half. Width is 10 and 5/8.